Hey, welcome back to the Mindful Minute. My name is Ashley Molina. I'm a holistic health coach, and on today's episode, I want to show you how to make a very simple salad with kale. A lot of people don't really love kale because it can be very bitter and fibrous, but the reality is it is actually one of the most nutritional things that you can eat on this entire planet. So to miss out on it would be such a shame. So today we're gonna make a very simple salad that is sweet and a little bit tangy. And this is a great way to start incorporating kale or just try it out because we're gonna use a method that helps to reduce the bitterness and that really intense texture of kale. So I encourage you to try out this recipe. Again, it's super simple and it's a great way to incorporate a super nutrient dense vegetable into your diet. So kale is a cruciferous vegetable, just like broccoli. So if you haven't seen the video I have on how to cook broccoli, I talk all about cruciferous vegetables in there. But these type of vegetables are amazing for the body. They're amazing for detoxification. They have tons of vitamins and minerals and lots of fiber, which helps to keep our digestion very regular. So kale is also in that cruciferous vegetable category. Like I said, it is one of the most nutritional things that you can eat. Kale is one of the best sources of vitamin C. If you eat 1 cup of kale, it is actually more vitamin C than a whole orange is. Kale is chock full of minerals, and specifically ones that a lot of us are deficient in, like magnesium and potassium and calcium. So 50% of Americans are deficient in magnesium, which is crazy because magnesium is critical to most of the small roles and functions in your body that you aren't even aware that are processing and happening all the time. So we really need magnesium in our diet, but most Americans are very deficient. And that's because a lot of magnesium comes from these leafy greens that a lot of people do not have in the standard American diet. So we want to be consuming as many leafy greens as possible. It's been shown that steamed kale has 43% of the same effect as a certain cholesterol lowering medication that is used pretty often called cholestyramine. I find this to be super interesting because I am very fascinated by using food as medicine. In fact, kale is super medicinal in a lot of ways, especially when it comes to cancer. It has a certain property in it called indole-3-carbinol, which specifically targets cancer strains or cells in the body. Okay, so let's start with this salad. We're gonna make a very simple dressing, and then we are gonna put it onto our kale and add a couple things into the mix. So for our salad dressing, we are just gonna use some Dijon mustard. We're gonna use a little bit of honey, some olive oil, and a lemon. So we're gonna start with 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard, full tablespoon of olive oil, a teaspoon of honey, okay, so we're gonna squeeze a full lemon. If you don't have a strainer, I have a little one that I use a lot. You can actually just use your hand and your fingers and let the lemon juice just go through just like this and catch the seeds. And then you can also do a little salt and pepper to taste. And I'm just gonna whisk it up with my baby whisk, which is my favorite kitchen tool right now, probably. I'm gonna whisk that really good. And this is like a tangy dressing with just a little bit of sweetener. And salad dressings are actually like super easy to make. So this is a salad dressing you can use for any kind of salad, but it just goes really well with the kale. Now for the kale, I've already washed the kale off and let it dry. You don't want it to be wet or it's gonna kind of dilute the taste of this dressing. So you wanna make sure that it's dried off. And then you're gonna take your kale and take the pieces off of the stem or the stalk here. And we don't wanna leave these pieces like in big chunks like this. That's just too big. I think a lot of times that's a mistake that people make is they leave their leaves so big, and kale is already such a fibrous vegetable and a little bit difficult to chew that when you have these massive pieces, it feels like you're just chewing forever and ever. So we want to just tear it apart into these like smaller bite-sized pieces. And I'm gonna fill a whole bowl full. So this would be just a salad for me. You can obviously make this for more than one person, but we're just doing one singular salad currently. Okay, so I have my bowl full of kale, and this next part is super important. So we're actually going to massage the kale. This is not a joke, and this is not some new age practice. Massaging the kale allows those structures and compounds within the kale to break down, which really helps with two things. It helps to relieve that bitter taste, and it also helps us to be able to chew it a lot easier. So you want to massage your kale if you're eating it raw, always. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour my dressing on top. I'm not gonna use all of it at first, probably about half, because you don't wanna totally oversaturate it. I'm just getting in there and giving it a good old massage. Again, you're just loosening up the structure of the kale so that it's a lot less bitter and a lot easier to chew. A good old massage. All right, perfect. So you can see how the kale has become just like a little bit looser looking. It's become flatter than when I first put it into the bowl. You could just keep your extra dressing and put it like in a little mason jar or glass jar and use it again the next day with your kale if you would like to do that. Again, it can also be used on other salads. The next ingredient we're gonna use is dates. So make sure to cut into your date and remove the pit. Most dates will not be pitted unless it says they're pitted, so make sure to get that pit out. Okay, and then I use about 2 to 3 dates. If you're someone who has not eaten a lot of kale and you're really afraid of it, I'd probably use 3 dates, but I use about 2 dates. And dates are absolutely amazing. They're dried fruit, they're super sweet, so they complement this tangy dressing and that fibrous tasting texture very, very well. Dates are definitely like nature's candy. They are so sweet and so tasty. And the more sweet, natural vegetables and fruits that you add into your diet, like sweet potatoes, carrots, dates, dried fruit, regular fruit, it really, really helps reduce sugar cravings. All right, so now I'm gonna take these little pieces of dates and throw some on top first. And then I'm just gonna kind of mix it in lightly. You don't wanna mix too much or all of the toppings are gonna end up on the bottom. So I just kind of put a layer, mix that one in, and then go for the next layer. Okay, and then we're gonna use some walnuts, which are amazing, tons of omega-3s. They're one of those healthy fats, so we wanna incorporate as many of those as we can. Especially in this meal, we're getting a ton of nutrients, a lot of vitamins and minerals. We are getting a little bit of protein out of this kale, and then now we're also getting some healthy fats in. And I like to chop my walnuts just into smaller pieces. And the walnuts I kind of just let sit on top. I don't really mix those in too much. That is it. A very, very simple way to eat kale that actually tastes good. It's an amazing way to add a ton of nutrients into your diet. Let me know if you like this recipe and any other recipes that you would like to see in the comments, please. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Kale, yeah!